This is going to sting. Diary of a 1960s nurse at Brighton General Hospital. Chapter 1. Welcome to the Madhouse. Brighton General, 1962. Stepping into the imposing edifice of Brighton General Hospital, fresh out of nursing school, I felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. My crisp, starched uniform, complete with impossibly sturdy shoes, felt like both armor and a costume. I was armed with textbook knowledge and a naive enthusiasm, completely unprepared for the reality that awaited me. The hospital itself was a labyrinth of echoing corridors, bustling wards, and a confusing array of departments. It wasn't uncommon for patients to wander, disoriented, finding themselves in unexpected places. My first encounter involved a bewildered Mr. Phillips, who had somehow navigated from surgery to pediatrics. His explanation, well, I was feeling a bit childish, perfectly encapsulated the quirky atmosphere. My introduction to matron was equally memorable. Her look, a withering glare that could intimidate even the most seasoned staff member, was legendary. "Nurse, you are here to uphold standards, not look like a crumpled bedsheet," she declared, her voice sharp and unforgiving. The fear instilled by that first encounter was so profound that I found myself ironing my apron during my lunch break, while still wearing it. This first day painted a vivid picture. Brighton General was a place of chaos, quirky patients, and a matron who demanded absolute perfection. Chapter 2, Patients, Peculiarities, and Pickles. The patients at Brighton General in the 1960s were a colorful bunch, each with their own unique quirks and stories. They provided a constant source of amusement, bewilderment, and occasionally, genuine concern. One particularly memorable incident involved Mr. Barnes, who arrived at the Andy with a pickle jar firmly stuck on his hand. His sheepish explanation, "I was trying to get the last gherkin," became an instant hospital legend. Then there was Mrs. Clark, a sweet old lady with a secret, a pet parrot she attempted to smuggle into the ward in her handbag. The parrot's loud pronouncements of, "Who's a pretty boy then?" during matron's rounds quickly exposed her clandestine companion. Mr. Jones, admitted for chest pain, was less concerned with his health and more focused on the quality of the hospital food. His dramatic pronouncements about shoe leather masquerading as steak, accompanied by vigorous fork waving, were a regular source of entertainment for the staff. These patients, with their eccentricities and unexpected antics, brought a touch of levity to the often serious atmosphere of the hospital. Chapter 3, The Night Shift, a Comedy of Errors. The night shift at Brighton General was a world of its own. The quiet, broken only by the occasional cough or groan, created an atmosphere of both tranquility and underlying tension. It was a deceptive calm, like the silence before a storm, or the ominous quiet of a toddler who is up to no good. One particularly memorable night involved a patient testing out his new crutches with a daring attempt to escape the ward. His grand plan was foiled, however, when he accidentally locked himself in the broom cupboard. The image of him sitting on a mop bucket, whistling the theme to The Great Escape when we finally found him, is forever etched in my memory. Another night was punctuated by the rhythmic tapping of Mrs. Green, who had discovered a unique use for her bedpan, a percussion instrument. Her explanation, "Can't sleep," accompanied by a surprisingly catchy rhythm, offered a unique soundtrack to the night. It was a surreal experience, a blend of exhaustion, absurdity, and the quiet camaraderie of those who shared the night watch. Chapter 4, Matron's Wrath. Matron was an institution unto herself. She wasn't just a person, she was a force of nature, a whirlwind of starched linen and unwavering authority. Her presence permeated every corner of the hospital. Her ability to appear seemingly out of thin air was legendary. One moment I would be indulging in a stolen biscuit at the nurse's station, the next she would be looming over me, a disapproving specter. Her voice, capable of delivering withering sarcasm with deadly accuracy, was enough to send shivers down even the most experienced nurse's spine. I once made the mistake of yawning during a ward inspection. Her pointed inquiry, "Are we boring you, nurse?" was delivered with such icy disdain that I nearly dislocated my jaw from shaking my head so vigorously. Matron's reign was one of strict discipline, unwavering standards, and a constant fear of incurring her wrath. Chapter 5, Love in the Air and Other Strange Things. Despite the often serious environment, Brighton General was not immune to the vagaries of love and romance. Dr. Montgomery, the new surgeon, was the object of much admiration among the staff. His charm and skill were equally captivating. His smile had the power to make hearts flutter, and his surgical precision was equally impressive. It wasn't just the nurses who were smitten, even the usually stoic laundry lady was known to swoon at his passing. Romantic entanglements weren't limited to the staff. One particularly memorable patient, Mr. Jenkins, who was recovering from a broken leg, decided to propose to his girlfriend. His chosen engagement ring, fashioned from a bedpan handle, was certainly unique. While his girlfriend accepted, I couldn't help but wonder if her decision was motivated more by pity than true love. The hospital, it seemed, was a microcosm of life, complete with its own dramas, romances, and unexpected connections. Chapter 6, The Art of Improvisation. The 1960s NHS was a testament to resourcefulness and ingenuity. Faced with limited resources and frequent shortages, the staff at Brighton General became masters of improvisation. When bandages ran low, matron's solution was simple: cut up old sheets. When the heating system failed during a particularly cold winter, we relied on hot water bottles to keep both patients and staff warm. The disappearance of the tea trolley, a serious offense in nursing circles, led to the ingenious repurposing of a spare wheelchair into a makeshift drinks cart. One particularly memorable incident involved a patient in need of an urgent saline drip. With no force stand available, matron calmly instructed us to use a coat hanger. While the makeshift solution worked, I couldn't help but imagine Florence Nightingale turning in her grave. These experiences highlighted the resilience and adaptability of the nursing staff, their ability to make do with whatever was available, and their unwavering commitment to patient care. Chapter 7, Ghosts, Gossip, and Gallows Humor. Like any old building, Brighton General had its share of ghost stories. The most famous was the tale of the Grey Lady, said to haunt Ward 5. One night, while on duty, I saw a shadowy figure gliding down the corridor and let out a scream loud enough to wake the entire hospital. It turned out to be old Mr. Peterson, sleepwalking in his hospital gown. His nonchalant explanation, "Don't mind me, love, just stretching my legs," did little to calm my nerves. The nurses' station was a hub of gossip, a place where rumors and speculation ran rampant. Who was dating whom? Who was responsible for the disappearing biscuits from the staff room? The answer, of course, was everyone. The most entertaining scandal involved Dr. Montgomery accidentally stapling his own tie to a patient's chart. His attempts to maintain his composure while tethered to paperwork were a source of much amusement. These moments of gallows humor and shared gossip provided a much-needed release from the stresses of the job. Chapter 8, Farewell to the Ward. By 1969, it was time for me to say goodbye to Brighton General and hang up my starched uniform for the last time. Coincidentally, matron also retired that year, although I wouldn't be surprised to hear that she still roams the hospital corridors, eternally inspecting pleats and enforcing standards from beyond the grave. I left with a wealth of memories: the laughter, the tears, the challenges, and the occasional bizarre incident involving cucumbers. Nursing at Brighton General in the 1960s was more than just a job. It was a unique experience, a blend of comedy, tragedy, and the profound privilege of caring for others.